Hey everyone, it's Bees. Now, the Mythic Plus testing on the beta this weekend is just about over. It's 7 o'clock at night, so I'm not really going to get much more done this weekend. So I just want to give you guys a little update of how I feel about Holy Priest. Holy Priest was the class I tested the most in the Mythic Plus, and I actually really enjoyed them. But they still have the same problems they have in Shadowlands. They don't have a lot of utility. They are kind of squishy, but man, can they throw out some really good heals? They can throw out some really good single target DPS, and well, we bring power infusion, and everyone likes power infusion cast on them. And we also have the talent now that says we get power infusion also when we cast it on someone else, so we don't feel bad about giving it to someone else. But let's look at the class a little bit closer. First, let's look at the tier set. Tier set says casting Prayer of Mending reduces the cast time of your next heal or Prayer of Healing by 1 second and increases the Holy Word cooldown reduction effect by 2 seconds. I mean, you should always just be throwing out a Prayer of Mending pretty much on cooldown. You usually slip it in at the end of a spell cast because it's instant cast. So you'll always get something out of this two piece. Usually in Mythic Plus dungeons, you're not casting Prayer of Healing a lot, but you are casting Heal a lot. So this basically in Mythic Plus dungeons is going to reduce the cast time of Heal. The 4-piece says Holy Word Serenity and Holy Word Sanctify finish their cooldowns. You gain 10% critical strike for 6 seconds. I mean, it's not mind blowing, but that's what Holy Priests do. They want to use their Holy Words and then get them off cooldown as quickly as they can just to use them again. So you're going to have that little buff up a lot. They even recently nerfed this. I think it used to be 8 seconds. They toned it down to 6, and I think, well, Holy Priest had it up a lot. You know, if you combo this with Apotheosis, the cooldown that gets your Holy Words cooling down faster, well, you can have this buff up a lot. So, it's not the best tier pieces of healers. The Druid and the Monk one are probably better, but I mean, it's fine. Kind of boring, but they're all kind of boring. But, I mean, you're going to use it. I mean, so it's nice to have. Look at the talent trees. Um, Now, I'll just say this. The Holy Tree, pretty nice. Has a lot of crossovers. A lot of the talents are nice. You can choose to kind of go an AoE build, a single target build, a kind of mix of both is kind of what I went for. Um, I think a lot of people, even though I said I don't cast Prayer of Healing a lot in dungeons, but Holy Word Sanctify is always good to have. A lot of people pass up taking Circle of Healing, but I just like to have it. You know, if you ever have to move, you can just throw out a Circle of Healing while you're moving. Um, the holy tree is nice. The class tree kind of clunky. There's a lot of talents that you don't want, especially over here in the shadow side as holy. Um, but another criticism I have about the holy tree is there's a lot of spells. How do I phrase this? There's a lot of talents that just give small buffs to one spell, but there's a lot of them. So most classes just go, well, for example, most classes would be like, well, here's an ability, and then here's a talent underneath that just gives that ability a little bit more oomph. And there's a lot of examples of that in this tree, Holy Nova. Um, a talent right underneath that buffs it. Master Spell, talent underneath that buffs it. But the problem with the priest tree is a lot of spells just have a lot of talents that give little buffs. Now, one of them is Prayer Mending. Alright, here's Prayer Mending, you get it free as Holy Priest. Here's the talent underneath it that says Prayer Mending does 45% increased healing to its initial target. But let's look over here on the Holy Tree. There's this talent here that's either a choice, benedicted, diction, prayer mending has a 15% chance to leave a renew, or when prayer mending jumps to someone with renew, it heals for more. Okay, another talent that buffs prayer mending, but we go down here. Prayer mending jumps one additional time for 2 points. If you put a second point into it, it gets 2 more jumps. Oh, okay, another talent that buffs prayer mending. Say your prayers. Prayer mending has a 15% chance not to consume a charge when it jumps. And then there's another talent, answer your prayers. Answered prayers that say after prayer mending heals 100 times or for 2 points, 50 times, you gain apotheosis for 8 seconds. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 talent points just to add little buffs to prayer mending. I think that's kind of insane. Not a lot of classes just have seven talents points to buff one spell, and that's not the only only example. There's a bunch for Fade, 3 points total. What else is there? Here's 3 points for Desperate Prayer. There's another one. There's a bunch for Renew in the Holy Tree that I have always skipped, so I'm not even going to be able to find them all. I mean, you can. This one down here, either Renew heals instantly or its duration shorter. So you get the point. There's just a lot of talents in the tree that they all kind of feel like filler talents. Why am I taking these talent points? Why can't you just put something juicier in its spot? So that's my big gripe with the talent trees. But other than that, all the capstones, well, let me take that back. All the capstones except for Angelic Bulwark and I guess Mind Games are all pretty nice to take. I mean, Power Word Life, just another insta-cast heal. Could be a big beefy heal if they're low on health. You know, you're not going to turn that away. Void Shift. This used to be a priest ability back in Mr. Pandaria. I think it became a PvP talent for a little bit, maybe, but you just switch your percentage HP with the target. So if they're really low on health, you can just be like, here, have my percentage of health, and I'll have yours. And then after the switch, who's ever low gets 25% healing. But you can also be used the other way. If you're low on HP and they're high, you can just be like, yoink, I'm going to take your HP. So, but Angelic Bulwark, when an attack brings you below 30% health, you gain an absorption shield equal to 15% of your maximum health for 20 seconds. Whoop-dee. Guess what? Resto Shamans have this talent too. It's just in the middle of their class tree. Sure, it costs 2 points, but, you know, it actually heals them and not puts a little PD absorb shield on them. The capstones over here, all of them for Holy Priest, are all pretty awesome. Except for Lightwell. Sorry, Lightwell. Lightweaver, this kind of replaces the Flash Heal and Heal Legendary in Shadowlands. Kind of reworks it a little bit. It says Flash Heal reduces the cast time of your next heal by 20 seconds, by 30%, and increases its healing by 15%. So you can just, and then it stacks up to 2 times. You can go Flash Heal, save those 2 chunky heals until you need them, and then spend them, or just go kind of weave them in. So your single target healing is more like a Flash Heal followed by a heal, and a Flash Heal followed by a heal. I think Lightweaver is pretty much always going to be taken just because it powers up your single target healing so much. This little node here on the right is really nice. Miracle Worker, Serenity, and Holy Word Sanctify gain an additional charge. Okay? And then when you pair this with Apotheosis, you might, if you go all the way down to 0 charges, you pop Apotheosis, start pumping out Flash Shields or Prayer of healing, and then all of a sudden you're back up to 2 charges. It's just really, really nice to have those 2 spells have 2 charges, but it's Buddy that you have to have a choice between. Restitution is the when you turn into Spirit Redemption, you revive once every 10 minutes. You know, that's such an old legendary from back from Legion. Gives priest a self-res. We're already squishy, so having a self-res can always be clutch. This note here, Divine Image, when you cast a Holy Word spell, you have a chance to summon an image of an Naru at your side, 15 seconds whenever you cast the spell. They'll cast a similar one. This was a Legion artifact ability back in the day. I mean, just basically says when you cast a Holy Word spell, you just have a chance to just have this little guy pop out and throw out some heals too. Works well with Miracle Worker because you have 2 charges of them, so you have a higher chance to summon it when you have more charges of them to use. Divine Word, a 1-minute cooldown, increases the effectiveness of your next Holy Word Serenity, Sanctify, or Chastise by 50% and grants them a Divine Favor for 15 seconds. So, on at least the healing side, those 2 spells, Sanctify and Serenity, are already pretty chunky, but then to increase them by 50%, especially on Sanctify, is going to make it such a chunky heal. And then they all have a effect afterwards. Chastise says your smites afterwards have a 40% chance to apply the Holy Fire dot. Sanctify leaves the ground healing effect, so not only does it just drop a big AoE heal on that spot, then you leave a little healing spot for people to stand in. And then Serenity says your flash heal heals and renews heal for 30% more, have 20% increased chance to critically strike, and cost 20% less mana. So if you just need to single target bomb heal a bunch of people, you can Serenity, you power up your Serenity, and then you start flash healing and healing people. And that combos really well with Light Weaver. Last thing I want to point out, Holy Priest has some decent single target damage dealing talents. Big one being Imperial Blaze. Refreshes Holy Fire, causes your next 3 casts of Holy Fire to cost no mana, cure no cooldown, and cast instantly. So what you do is you cast a Holy Fire, press this button, then you can instantly cast 3 more instant cast Holy Fires into the target. And then the little bottom says whenever Holy Fire is reapplied, its duration is now extended instead of putting it back up to whatever its normal time. Losing my train of thought. But anyways, this just makes it so you're just like a Holy Fire machine gun. And on single target, it's really nice. Or if the tank is doing it, you're just doing a trash bowl, you can have Holy Fire rolling on 4 different targets. And this has a 30-second cooldown, so it's up pretty often. Talent down here, Searing Light, Smite and Holy Nova deal 50% more damage to targets affected by your Holy Fire. Obviously combos with this, because if it's a single target like a boss, well, with Imperial Blaze, they're probably always going to have a Holy Fire on them, so your smites get juiced up. If you do Divine Word Chastise, well, you just have Smite have a chance to put Holy Fire on them, which then combos with Searing Light. So that's how the Holy Priest DPS is just Smite and Holy Fires, and then you also slip in some Shadow Word Deaths when they get low, and then Chastise when it comes off cooldown. But all in all, Holy Priests are looking pretty nice in Dragonflight Dungeon. They're just basically the same they are in Shadowlands. They bring good healing, maybe even the best healing. You have pretty good damage, maybe even the best damage with all these new talents. But you have the same cons as before. You're squishy. You don't have really great defensive to use, but it doesn't matter. You bring power infusion, so people are gonna want that. They'll look past the you're squishy just to bring the guy that brings power infusion. So I thank everyone for watching this, and I'll see you next time.